Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. My name is Lori. I am filming here in my hotel room in Chicago at the Renaissance Hotel. We've been here for a few nights. The Chicago Pen Show is actually about 20 minutes outside of the city, if I remember the drive right. It was such a great weekend and I am so happy that we ended up attending. We did have some family obligations leading up to the Pen Show, so I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, and everything worked out in the end. I was able to attend Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. It was short and sweet, but still so impactful. I was able to meet some people in real life, some other creators, but I just want to give a shout out to the people who organized the Chicago Pen Show. This was my first time attending. My understanding is that it was in a different location in years past. Esterbrook had an event on Saturday morning. They were featuring some of the products from Helen's Coffee Monsters Co. line, like the blotter paper. Everybody got a cute bag. I did not get there until about 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sorry if I'm looking in weird places. I'm still trying to work out recording on this new camera, so forgive me as I fumble through some of the technology as we move forward. And also they're doing construction outside of the hotel and there's sirens. I'm hoping that this microphone will help kind of mute out some of that background noise. The show was held on 2 levels, so there was like a main ballroom and then there was a foyer area kind of as you entered the hotel where you would register, where there were a lot of vendors outside, and then there were also people downstairs. And I thought it was a really nice mix because they had like Nibmeisters, like Kirk Spear was in the main ballroom, Matthew Chen was in the foyer, and then Annabelle was downstairs. And I thought they did a really good job kind of spreading things out. I spent a lot of my time at the Atlas table. A lot of my friends were working at the Atlas table. Shout out to Alexandra and her mom, Sheila, who came down from Canada. Also my friend Shannon from Canada, who is Couture Pens online. She was working the Esterbrook booth with Justin, and they were all kind of hovered around the Atlas crew. Marks from Coles of London, Bryce from Luxury Brands of America. They were all in like the Atlas area. So I felt like I spent a lot of my time there because those were some familiar faces to me. I met a new friend, Scott, who is representing Colo pens. And I have a beautiful pen to share with you from Colo. They sent me one for review, but then one wasn't enough and I ended up picking one up at the show. I also met some of the most generous viewers as well. Someone gave me some bracelets that I have been loving so much. They gave me a Lori bracelet, an Esterbrook bracelet, a Juicy Broads bracelet, and a lumpy bracelet. These are just so fantastic. Thank you so much, Jessica, for these beautiful, beautiful bracelets. And they are totally my colors. She knew me very well. I also got this beautiful handmade bracelet from another viewer. That is so gorgeous. Again, my colors, my aesthetic. Thank you so much to Christina for these. Sorry, maybe I should clip this to me now that I'm going to start holding things. Hold on. Hopefully that's okay. This company makes a mini mic that I'm considering ordering because this one feels a little bulky when I clip it to myself. And between pens and thrifting, I'm always holding things up. So it's not often that I can actually be holding my mic. So hopefully this works. So Jennifer on Sunday found me and she gave me this amazing little pouch that said Chicago. And inside, she gave me some writing prompts, which is so fantastic. 70 writing prompts for reflection and journaling. Use them as part of your daily ritual to inspire creativity. This is such a generous gift. I am going to use these, and you'll probably likely see these in an upcoming video. I'm always overwhelmed by how generous and kind people are in this community. Chicago really was a great illustration of that. So thank you to everyone who took time to say hello to me. And I hope that you made some new pen friends at the Chicago Pen Show. This is a show I would love to come back to. My husband is in a new position at work that requires a ton of travel. So we're trying to kind of make a few of our trips line up with some pen shows. I do have the Pacific Northwest Pen Show on my radar, which I believe is in Seattle or Portland. I think it's in Portland, but my husband's work is in Seattle. But that might be another show that I plan to go to. Orlando's a bit of a long shot, but we do like to spend time in Florida. And then, of course, Commonwealth Pen Show. But I won't be at DC, so I was really happy that I was able to attend this pen show. The first pen show I went to was Orlando back in 2023. It was phenomenal, but I was very overwhelmed, just kind of realizing what the pen shows were all about and getting the lay of the land. I also went to Commonwealth Pen Show last year, but it was very brief, the time that I had there. So I'm hoping to spend a little bit more time at the Commonwealth Pen Show this year. Stationery Fest was phenomenal. However, that was a different vibe as well. And I was traveling with Vanessa, meeting a lot of people, which was really fun. Oh, the Dutch Pen Show last year was another pen show that I attended, but I was teaching at that one and it was just a day. But I felt like this was a very nice pace for me personally. I wasn't feeling panicked about getting any one particular thing done. One of the highlights for sure this time was getting to see pen friends. Now I'm going to show you what I picked up. I think I'm going to go in the order that I purchased things and tell you a little bit about the backstory for each thing. So the first purchase I made was rather impulsive. It was not a pen that was on my radar. I went over to the Taccia table to see my good friend Claire Coco, who is always working the Taccia table with her friend Sue. I recently made a big purchase of a Taccia pen at the end of last year. I got one of their limited edition Urushi pens, the Sakura one, which I absolutely love. That was my first Taccia pen. This is their entry pen, and I just fell in love with the design of this pen. I feel like it's difficult to kind of stand out as a unique build in the pen community and the pen industry, because a pen is a pen. Like, there's only so many ways that you can spin the design. But I held the Taccia Covenant, and I was immediately intrigued and fell in love with this pen. And this was a show special. It was only $99. I think it typically retails for like $175 or $165. You could get it with a steel nib or with a 14 karat gold nib for $189. I actually opted for the steel nib. It is a sailor nib. I was more intrigued by the design than I was by having a gold nib to write with. So I opted for the less expensive version, and I love it. I'm gonna have to refer to my book for official names. I did all of the pens that I bought. This is the Taccia Covenant SE in Parchment Swirl. And if this is not a Lori pen with Lori colors, I don't know what is. I wrote, I fell in love with this design. Steel nib, writes beautifully, so much fun. Nice size too. So I got a medium steel nib, but here is what's so cool about this pen. You twist this from the bottom, and here's your pen. So this is the cap. And I just think this is such a cool design. And then here is the body of the pen, which kind of reminds me almost of, sorry, it keeps going in and out of focus. Again, I'm trying to get used to this. This kind of reminded me of a full-bodied version of the Coffee Monsters Co. little coffee swirl that is on the Esterbrook pen. That's kind of the vibe that I got from this. And I just thought it was so interesting how this comes together and turns like this. So they did have a few versions of the Covenant, and I think I have the picture here. So this is Parchment Swirls. And then there's two other colors that I will show here in case you are interested. I'll try to link as many of these as possible. I think this is on the Taccia website. So I find at the pen shows, there's usually a couple surprises. There are definitely things that I plan for, and then I allow for a couple of surprises. And this was a surprise, and I'm so happy that this came home with me. I did try to get one that had lighter swirls. And yeah, it's just so pretty. I want to compare sizes for you. So here it is uncapped next to a Sailor Pro Gear. So it is on the thinner side, maybe about the width of like a Waterman Karen, but it might be a slightly thicker. And the nib, even though steel, is bicolored, which I thought was really, really pretty. And it writes beautifully. The ink that I put with this was a new ink from Amarillo ink that I also picked up. And it's so funny because I had just swatched all of my brown inks, and I think I have like 29 or 30 on the brown spectrum. Some lean gold, some lean gray, some lean a little green. But I got to the pen show and I said, whatever you do, don't buy a brown ink. And what do you think? The the first thing I did, I bought a tan ink. It's not brown. I went to see Eric at Amarillo Inks, and he just has such a great vibe. He himself has a great style, so friendly. I just love all of his merchandise. But I was really trying to not buy a lot of ink. He had a really cool set of 4 inks that went together that I was considering getting, but I ended up just getting this. I think this is called Toasty Joggers. This is the ink color, which I think went really well with this pen. I really was only trying to buy inks that went with pens that I was purchasing so that I could ink them up over the course of this week. Jay treated me to a couple things. He was just being sweet, but also Mother's Day is this weekend, and I'm not going to see any of my kids on Mother's Day, but I did just see them all in Spain, which was really a treat. I had the whole pen show to pick from, and I ended up going with a Platinum 3776 in celluloid. This is a pen that I've been thinking about for a long time. It's always kind of been there. I love platinum pens. I have 3 out of the 4 in the Shape of Heart series. I have the Calico from the celluloid series that I got in 2022. I wasn't expecting to get this, so I was a little caught off guard. I ended up getting the Cherry Blossom from Platinum. I knew this is a pen that I would never regret having. The Cherry Blossom pen is so beautiful, so feminine. I think because it's always there, it's not a limited edition, I've never felt urgency to get it, which also kind of made me put it in the back burner. Like when the Shape of Heart pens come out, they're limited edition. Those are ones I've prioritized. So I'm really happy that I got this. Also, my podcast partner and friend Vanessa raves about the Platinum 3776 broad nib. Most of my 3776 pens, Shape of Hearts included, are all medium nibs. I think I have 4 medium nibs and 1 fine. I really wanted to try the broad nib, and it did not disappoint. What I love about Platinum's broad nibs in my short experience with this versus like an Italian brand broad nib, which I will talk about in a little bit, is that it writes broad and juicy without feeling like a marker. Sometimes it just feels like it's too much. You know I like a nice juicy nib. However, this still had some control and refinement, and the platinum gold nibs are on the stiffer side. So there was just something about this. Vanessa, you're right. I absolutely love the way that this writes. I'm really excited about this. So thank you to Luxury Brands of America and Bryce. You definitely can get some good deals by going to the pen shows, and it really does complement my Hachimonjia pen quite nicely. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy platinum pens and which ones you have. The other thing that I did Saturday, and in hindsight, I am so incredibly grateful that I did, was that I met with Matthew Chen for some nib work. Going into the show, I had only one appointment, and that was with Annabelle from the Netherlands. I was really excited. Annabelle has worked on a couple of my pens that I've purchased through Joost Appelboom because she was their on-site Nibmeister. She just does such great work. I wanted to meet with her face-to-face. She didn't have any appointments when I was at the Dutch Pen Show, so I just kept kind of walking by her, and like I said, she's worked on a couple of my Scribos. So she worked on one of my Scribos and my Aurora Ebonite she did an architect grind on. So I had 2 pens that I wanted her to work on. Last week, I was fortunate enough to meet with Kirk Spear. He was in the Boston area at the Paper Mouse, so he worked on 3 of my pens. He tuned 2 and repaired 1. And Matthew Chen was kind of like a bonus. He worked on my Visconti Homo sapien, my white ash one, the one I bought for my dad, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So I was so excited when I walked by and he had availability. So I sat down, again, unexpected. This was on Saturday, and I ended up having him work on this Orfici that I bought at the Dutch Pen Show. Now, I brought 2 Scribos to be worked on, and in all sincerity, I had originally thought I was going to have Annabelle work on this. This is my favorite of the 2, and because she's worked on my Scribos before, I thought this would be great. And this is a flex nib, so I wasn't sure how that was going to work, if they could do work on a flex nib. I didn't really know. And this Hachimonjia, I have a few Sailor Pro gears, and I've never had one with a custom nib grind. I had just like lightly dropped this on my desktop, and these nibs are pretty soft. This is a 21 karat gold nib, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It could be 18. It just barely hit my wood table, and it just slightly dulled the nib. It didn't ruin it. I had also dropped my Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and that nib I destroyed, and that's the one that Kirk fixed. So this one was more like, it wrote fine, but I thought I might as well do a custom nib grind on this since it's not exactly how I loved it. And it was started as a medium nib. I bought this at Stationery Fest. So anyways, these were the two pens that I decided to have Matthew work on. I ended up getting this secondhand at the Dutch Pen Show. I purchased it from the man who actually does the photographs for Scribo. He has the pens for a while and then he keeps some, he sells some. And I love the Orefici so much. So this is the Ladata series. And this was also discounted because it was secondhand. So when I saw he had this for sale, it was like an instant purchase. But it had a broad flex nib. So this was one that really felt like it wrote like a marker. And I love the look of this so much. I just wanted it to be more of an everyday writer. So Matthew took this down to a cursive smooth italic. He made it more like a medium. And oh my gosh, it is so fantastic. It's amazing how nib work can just transform the writing experience. So I was so grateful that Matthew was able to work on the flex nib and that he did such an incredible job because it's writing like a dream now. So I actually inked this up with the Toasty Jogger ink, and it works really nicely in here because there is like some gold swirls in here. He fixed this. He brought this down to more like a mini stub is what I asked for. I'm like, you can do either a mini stub or a cursive smooth italic. There wasn't a lot to work with because this was more of a finer nib. There wasn't much tipping. So I think he made it more like a fine stub or a mini stub. The variation in the line isn't as defined as like in a cursive smooth italic, but it's writing so much better. It has more character when I write. Matthew Chen knocked it out of the park with these two. I loved it. And really quickly, I will say that on Sunday, I was so looking forward to my appointment with Annabelle, and unfortunately, she was running behind. And this was really tough because this was something I was really looking forward to. I had a 9:30 appointment. We had a tour here in Chicago. We did a mobster tour, which was really fun. That brought us all around the city. And then we actually got off the tour early and ate at one of the restaurants where there was like an underground tunnel. I think it was called Harry Carey's or something. Anyways, it was awesome. So we had to return our rental car, check into our hotel, and get to this tour by noon. Time was of the essence on Sunday morning. And I went down at 9:30. She was working with someone else. At like 9:45, I asked if she was going to be finished up soon. And sadly, she was admitted that she was really behind. So I said, okay, I'll come back at 10. Went upstairs, made my other purchases with Atlas, came back down, and she was still busy. So then I was like, I had to like leave the show by 10:30. So I waited for a little while longer, and at like 10:15, I went back upstairs because I didn't want to like hover because she was working with another couple. So I ended up forfeiting my appointment because she wasn't going to be able to see me until like 10:30. Thank God that I decided to sit down with Matthew Chen because I got the two pens that I went there for. There is a chance that I'm going to Amsterdam in June, not for the Dutch Pen Show. So I said to her, we will meet again. I said, come to Boston, come to the Commonwealth Pen Show. So I was very disappointed that I couldn't see Annabelle, but I know she'll be worth the wait. And I'm grateful that I at least had a couple pens worked on from her in the past. Sorry, this is such a long video. I hope you're like cleaning out pens or swatching inks or something because I am definitely chatty right now. So because I was able to use some of my Atlas credit at the Atlas booth, I was definitely focusing on doing some shopping there. I always feel guilty that I don't spend more time talking to makers because there are so many talented people there. I feel like it's a disservice to myself as well because you don't get to see these pens in person. And sometimes I'm just like a creature of habit. And I just go back to the brands that I know and that I use over and over. Okay, Luke and Peanut from Papa J Studios were at the show. I wanted to introduce Luke to Jay because Jay had surprised me with a Valentine Day pen. So they got to me, and then Jay wanted one of Luke's wine stoppers. I think he posted on Instagram prior to leaving for the weekend that he was going to make wine stoppers out of the same material. Jay could only tolerate so much time at the pen show. It was comic book day on Saturday, so that worked out because he went to a couple comic book stores and he had a great time. And he's like, get a wine stopper from Luke. I really want one. We're going to keep this at the Boston apartment. And I mean, you know how gorgeous their stuff is. Isn't this so beautiful? I have a nib holder from Luke, and then I also have the Valentine Day pen. I'm so tempted by his stuff always, and Charmaine got a really beautiful pen from him. There was one pen in particular that if it had been available, I would have bought it from Luke, but I got there Saturday. It was long gone. There's definitely more Papa J Studio pens in my future, but for this trip, we ended up getting this beautiful wine stopper that we will keep in Boston. So I did get to at least see them, and it was so nice to meet Peanut and Luke in person. They're such a talented, lovely couple and so fantastic for our community. All right, I've already filmed a video about this pen, so I'm not going to talk too long about this brand, but there is a new pen in town that is being sold at some of the major retailers like Atlas, Goulet, I don't know where else they're going to be. I first discovered this brand, Colo, at a local shop to me in Boston called Top Drawer. They don't carry many fountain pens, but this is their signature pen that they sell, and it's called the Tino. And I have tried this pen so many times in store in Boston, and then I was lucky enough to have one sent to me from Scott, who is a rep for Colo, connection I made through my friend Alexandra from Alexandra Art Insanity. So they sent me this raw brass one. This is probably one of the heaviest pens I've written with, and it's a triangular shape, so it doesn't have a clip. It's so classy. I feel like, again, kind of like the Covenant, I feel like this is unique. The build of this is different. There's no threading, so it just pops on and off. This is raw brass. So this I did not get at the pen show. This is what I already filmed like unboxing and review on. It does go to a full size. And there's something so cool about the weight of this when you're writing. It just really makes you feel like you're writing with intention. You can't really write super fast. Well, I mean, you can, but like you feel the writing when you do this. Also, another pen that does that is my Jane Austen pen. And I think it's like the weight of it. You just feel more intentional. I love this pen. Some people don't like the smell of the brass pen, and it really doesn't bother me at all. I guess I just don't smell my hands or anything when I'm writing. For some reason, aluminum pens I don't love to write with, but I do love this brass pen. So when I came to the show, I knew that Colo was going to be at the Atlas table. Alexandra was working that table. I knew that I wanted to use some of my Atlas credit to get one of their pens in the Italian, I think it's an Italian acrylic resin. Like I said, I will get into more details about that in my full review. But that was one of the things I purchased because I just feel like the raw brass is so unique. They have such beautiful acrylics that I just wanted to try out one of those. And they had this one that's called the Mother, a few days before Mother's Day, and it's also limited edition. And they were also doing 15% off. This is like Esterbrook. It's going to be a brand that is not discounted. I went for this. There was one other pattern that was limited edition. I love the little packaging. It's just like this little canvas pouch. And this one is gorgeous. Look at that. So beautiful, kind of like makes you think of mother of pearl. It's the same style, so it becomes like a full-size pen. This is just like a great everyday carry. I will talk more about it in the full review, but this was something that I purchased on my second day because they were doing 15% off. It's just a steel nib. It's a Kaweco nib, and it takes cartridges. Hold on, oh, I think I just dipped this pen, but you pop just a Kaweco cartridge in there. And Alexandra also sold me the little Kaweco converter that has the bend in it, so you can use your own ink. But in the brass one, I just popped in the black Kaweco cartridge, and I've been using it in my journaling because it has black ink, and I absolutely love these pens. I really think that these pens are going to do quite well. The price point on the brass and some of the other acrylics, I want to say it's like $155, $160. The limited edition ones are $195. So I got that on Sunday. I ended up getting 5 pens, so I have 2 more to show you. This one was probably the most impulsive purchase I had, Karina. We kind of kept passing each other, and I so wish we had more time. So Karina pointed out at the Esterbrook table that there was a prototype on the table that she had purchased. It's a me color, it's an us color, because we love browns and tans, Karina and I. And so she's like, oh, I bought this one in matte. They have one left. And I was like, ooh, I really like that. Oh, by the way, this is the Amarillo ink. And it has such beautiful shading properties. I am obsessed with that ink. Karina pointed out this Esterbrook J, the model J, in this beautiful, it looks just like this ink, and it looks just like my lumpy. I can justify anything. So I did not see Karina's, but she said hers was a matte finish. I love the Esterbrook J. I recently got the violet in the ebonite when I started working for Esterbrook. This was on the table. Karina got the twin to this. This is not part of their line, this color. It looks like butterscotch to me. It also very much reminds me, and I'm curious to compare it side by side when I get home, of the TWSBI, the Cafe TWSBI. So let me know what you think of this. Should we try to get Esterbrook to make this cute tan pen? I love this color. And here is this pen with that ink. And this was a day after I had bought the ink. So the ink turned out to be a good purchase as well. So this was super impulsive. And then Justin asked me, what sleeve do you want? I said, surprise me. So he gave me this sleeve. Justin does operations for Esterbrook. So when I do my whatnot sales, there's Brett from marketing and Brian and Justin. Justin does all the shipping and stuff. And he also travels to the show, and he's really fun. And he and Shannon are a great team for Esterbrook. And so this is where I picked that up. This was like the very last thing I got as I was like running out the door at 10:30. So this is fantastic. I love it. And it came with a stub nib. I didn't even ask what nib it was because I have so many Esterbrook's and so many Esterbrook nibs. It didn't matter. I figured I could just kind of swap. My mic keeps flopping in the other direction, so I hope this is okay. I've been eyeing the Iris Homo sapien pen from Visconti ever since I purchased the Lotus Garden. I ended up getting the Lotus Garden Homo sapien pen through the Atlas Experience pen sale that they run through their Discord at the end of every month. My Visconti that I mentioned earlier that Matthew Chen worked on had a little bit of a journey. I bought that from Cult Pens over 2 years ago. Initially, the nib wasn't fantastic out of the box, and it was the most expensive pen I had ever purchased, and it was a very sentimental pen, so I was very disappointed that the nib wasn't perfect. So it would skip on the diagonal. That was the major issue with it. It was a medium nib. Matthew worked on it twice for me. He worked on it once at the Dutch Pen Show. There was still some little tweaking that I wanted done to the nib, and then he came to the Commonwealth Pen Show, and now it's one of my best writers of all of my pens. So I really wanted to try the Iris Garden, like from a beauty standpoint, but it was very expensive, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get a good or bad nib. It's not one of the lava Homo sapiens, like Bronze Age or Dark Age, or like the one that I got, the white ash one. When it came up for such an incredible price, it was one of those things where it didn't sell in the first round, and then Brendan dropped the price, and then I jumped on it. It is one of my favorite writers. I got a fine nib. It just writes so beautifully. I love writing with that pen, but I don't love the look of that pen. I think it's pretty enough. It's like swirls of like avocado green and purple. This is one of those pens, like if I was closing my eyes and writing, it was just beyond a great writing experience. But I love the look of the Iris. But the Iris has always been a little more than I've wanted to spend. So the Visconti Homo sapien in Iris Garden is the pen that I came to this show wanting. In addition to the mother pen. I knew I wanted to get the mother pen as well. The thing for me was I wanted to write with it. I just wanted to hold it, and I wanted to see the swirls. I just wanted to confirm how beautiful it is and how I thought it would be in person. Thanks to everybody who uses my Atlas links, I was able to use my Atlas credit to put towards this pen. And then Coles of London was at the pen show, and Mark is one of their reps. They had like a show price as well. So it was, I don't know, maybe about 20%, 15% less. So the price I was able to get it for was Still expensive, but I went for it. I got the fine nib. It's honestly so beautiful. I am, however, 90% sure that I am going to sell now my Lotus. And I knew that going in. I also have that in a fine nib, and I purposely got this in a fine nib as well because I didn't want to be tempted to keep the Lotus Blossom because I just don't need to. I'm probably going to put that up for sale and hopefully make back a good portion of what I spent on this because that one I don't think is available anymore. There's a new Visconti Homo sapien that is out right now with a Jonathan Brooks resin. It's purple and it's really beautiful, but it is not what I was looking for. This is it. I got the most perfect ink to go with it. Alexandra helped me pick this out. I got Tom Studio number 17 Damson, and oh my goodness, this is a match. This is going to be like one of my top 5 pens. And this is not the box that it comes in. There's a much more ornate box that Mark is going to send to me. I was fine with just this, but if he wants to send it to me, if there's ever a day that I was to sell this pen, it would be nice to have the original box. But I personally love this packaging quite a bit. So here it is. It's so beautiful. And I know I'm more of a neutral person, but the way that this looks is just so beautiful. There's like pearly, swirly parts to it, and then like a really deep wine, and the purple, and the trim is in rose gold. There is nothing I don't love about this pen. The clip of the Ponte Vecchio, that's what that represents. They have such a beautiful clip. The filling mechanism, it's a vac fill. So this is exactly the same model. The lotus flower, don't get me wrong, is beautiful. I really think that's an important one to see in person. And I don't regret buying it because I love this model. This is a lighter weight model than the Ash Lava one. And just look at how beautiful. Sorry, this camera is pretty sensitive to the movement. I actually, if you see my eyes going down throughout this, I have the little screen that's on my DJI Osmo camera above, and just below, I have the same image of myself on my iPhone, which is larger, so I can see it better. So I keep looking down just to see what's in focus. Anyways, let me show you this nib. So this is the hook safe closure. You just twist it. And this is really strange. This is a me problem. But when I got home, I did some filming of this for an Instagram post. I think I got like a tiny grain of sand or something in the cap. So when I was closing it, I was getting this like grinding sound, like sand. And I was losing my mind because it was absolutely perfect when I purchased it. I looked at 2. Atlas had one at their table, and then there were 2 with Coles of London. I picked the one that I wanted. It was exactly what I wanted, absolutely beautiful. And then I was hearing this like scratchy grinding sound. So I literally washed the whole thing. I cleaned everything out. I like started over. I air dried it, and now it's perfect. And then my first couple tries, the vac fill wasn't sucking the ink in, and I was like, oh my gosh. I think sometimes when I splurge on a pen, I get overly sensitive. So once I was able to clean it out, it was back to its original perfection. And I just love this pen. So look at this ink with it. Is that not so beautiful? So the Tom Studio ink doesn't have as much shading qualities as that Amarillo ink. Oh my gosh, this ink is incredible. But this is the ink that I used for this pen. And I think I have a lot of colors that will look beautiful with this. And I absolutely love the rose gold. Here's that beautiful nib. I know Visconti has some QC issues, but this was just a home run. So this was the biggie for me at the Chicago Pen Show. I've been talking a lot about doing a collection video, but I think I decided I'm going to break it down into countries. I'm going to do like a German-made video, Japanese, Italian, just to break it down. And then as I go through each one, there are going to be things that I pull to sell. That is my recap, my very long-winded, thorough recap of the Chicago Pen Show through my eyes. It was absolutely fantastic. I actually have a few hours left today, And Atlas Stationery is about a 7-minute walk from my hotel. I need nothing, but it is a beautiful day and I'm filming a lot from the hotel room. I went thrifting in Chicago yesterday. If you want to follow me on Lori's Boston Found, that's my other YouTube channel where I chronicle all of my adventures in thrifting. I hit a great Goodwill. I got this blouse there yesterday. It's been a great visit here to the Windy City, and I can't wait to come back. But I think I'm going to sign off. I have to film my Chicago thrift haul. Thank you all so much for watching this extremely long video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you had a good time and you would like to see more from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back soon in another video. Bye.